Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 20 of our F1 Manager McLaren career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend, ready for the Mexican GP, of course. If you missed out on the last video that went live from COTA, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. And of course as well, I just want to say a quick thank you to, those of you that only watch the F1 Manager series. A massive thank you to all of you for 100,000 subscribers on the channel. Of course, we're getting right towards the end of this first season. I think, when we're looking towards F1 Manager 2023, I'm really hoping, sort of Frontier have listened to what a lot of us have said and they're going to make, because I think, this game is a fantastic base, but I think, there's going to be a little bit more work to really make it a full, fat game that we can all absolutely love. But yeah, Mexican GP this weekend, the plan is pretty simple. Throughout these final 3 races, keep focusing on development ready for Season 2, and just make sure we stay ahead of Alpine and Alfa Romeo. They're 12 points ahead of the French, 17 points ahead of the Swiss outfit as we head into this weekend. It's, a fair old gap. Of course, it will take quite a miracle run by either of those teams, and especially, of course, if we can just keep scoring points as well late on in the game, we do stand a good chance there. 10th and 11th so far in the Constructors' Championship. We could still get up to Pierre Gasly, but I think Bottas has solidified himself as best of the rest there. We're looking as well at potentially replacing Stoffel Van Dorn as our reserve driver there. Dennis Hauger and Teo Porcher have been scouted out. You guys know I'm a big fan of Teo there, and I think Dennis Hauger as well in the game probably has quite a lot of potential. Of course, right at the pointy end though, still just 12 points covering the top 3 in the Drivers' World Championship. Max Verstappen going up against both of those Ferraris. Let's see who's going to come out on top here in Mexico.
Music is in the air this weekend, but it's not mariachi we'll be hearing. It's going to be the roar of the engines and the cheers of the crowd. Formula One is back in the very heart of Mexico City at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. This is an exhilarating circuit on the Formula One calendar. We'll be sure to see plenty of battles and overtaking this weekend, especially with the help of not 1, not 2, but 3 DRS zones. With the season nearly concluded, time is running out for the team. Can anyone make a last-minute breakthrough? Can the leading drivers hold on? Only time will tell. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Well, it feels like it's been a while since I've been in Mexico City, and heavy rain predicted on Sunday. I wish I hadn't come back. I don't think we've ever had a wet Mexican Grand Prix, at least since its return in 2015. So it could be a bit interesting then this weekend to see what goes down. Of course, as always, we'll send both cars out. It's always a bit weird still at Mexico. Of course, they bang on about in real life, obviously, just how much downforce you can still run around this venue. Isn't quite the same on F1 Manager. You still have to run sort of a more conventional setup, if you will. Well, sending both cars then out onto the circuit, hopefully we're going to see some decent pace. I put Lando on an incredibly slippery straight line speed setup. I put Oscar Piastri with a bit more downforce. We'll see who's quicker, and we'll see, probably we're going to have to try and find somewhere in the middle where they're both happy. It might be meant to rain later on in free practice here, but I don't think I've ever seen a track temperature as high as here in Mexico. 47 degrees. It was up at 47.5 just a moment ago. That is ridiculous. Oh, what's Lando Norris done? I just heard a big thud. I think he's gone straight off down at the bottom of that corner. Let's have a look. Yep. So he has lost half the wing. Several cars involved. Has he been hit by someone else? Mick Schumacher's out. Don't say Lando's got into the back of him. Oh, I can already see what's happened here. Lando Norris has locked up and gone into the back of Mick Schumacher, and I think he's sent the Haas to the Shadow Realm. Yes, he has. I mean, you completely sent Mick into the Shadow Realm. Like, actually, into the Shadow Realm there. Mick Schumacher with half a car left. But Norris lives to fight another day. We're already calling both cars in. And just like COTA last weekend then, calling the driver in. Has he got a penalty? Don't say he's already got a penalty for a free practice 1 incident. Hopefully he's got away with that. He's got a 0-second time penalty. That is rather impressive. I think F1 Manager might be confused. Right, well, pretty much halfway through the session then, both cars back out onto the circuit. We've got a much better idea now of what the setup needs to be like. Apparently we need to run quite a lot of front wing, but still very little rear wing, so the opposite of what you get on F1 22, but yeah, I mean, we're probably going to keep an eye out on the big three between now and the end of the year as well. Max Verstappen currently fastest ahead of Leclerc, but has Sainz bottled what at one point was looking like a potentially easy championship. Oh, we got another big crash there. Kevin Magnussen apparently has gone round at turn 5. I can't see anyone else out of the session. Oh, Lando. What's he done? Don't say Magnussen's gone into the back of him. Oh, it's an Alfa Romeo. Oh, dearie me. Why is everyone struggling down here? I mean, clearly Zhou Guanyu's tried to get payback. And look at that, a massive jump for Lando Norris, who's out then of free practice here in Mexico. This has not been his session, and we've got a gearbox failure as well. Because I didn't pay $1 million to put one of those in last weekend, did I? F1 Manager, it is not a fan of me today. Right, well, 2 huge shunts then for Lando Norris early on in this weekend is certainly going to leave him on the back foot. So there's going to be a lot of pressure now on Oscar Piastri. I don't know why both of our drivers have become quite sloppy in their driving in the last few races. And I think Lando Norris is basically going to need a whole new car built for him. The chassis is gone. The gearbox is gone. The front rear wing, they're both gone. We're in trouble. We've got another one. It looks like an AlphaTauri and a Red Bull now. Aston Martin have gone round. It's Sebastian Vettel and Yuki Tsunoda. It's free practice, lads. Come on. Try and keep it somewhat tidy. That Seb, I think, has got away with it. Maybe Tsunoda has been collected. Well, Seb's behind him. So, Yuki Tsunoda, what's he done? Seb's gone for him, I think, there. Sebastian Vettel has literally tried to aim for Yuki Tsunoda in towards that first corner. Oh, come on. Don't say we got another one. Alfa Romeo. Bottas is in the wall. How many cars are we going to get crashing out here in... I mean, that's 1, 2, 3 that are completely out. Another 2 that have been involved. I don't know who's gone into... I mean, Bottas, surely someone's gone into the back of him there. Can we see who that was? Apparently I can't. Let's see then. Come on, who was it? We got Ferrari. Oh, that Alpine's got away with that, incredibly lucky. But that is, I think, Charles Leclerc that's gone into the back of him. Yep, definitely Charles Leclerc, so certainly not going to do him any favours. But, I mean, everyone apparently is on the back foot then. I think we just need to get into qualifying to try and stay away from this absolute wreckfest.
With the third and final free practice session all wrapped up, we now move on to qualifying. We've already seen a lot of excitement building since Formula One arrived in town, and today's qualifying is sure to be no exception. Success may stem from a well-prepared strategy, or a driver capable of incredible audacity. Put it this way, there simply is no surefire recipe for victory. Strap yourselves in. This is Formula One.
Right, well, after the chaos then that was free practice, look how many cars have got grid penalties here. Charles Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Bottas, Norris, Schumacher, Zhou Guanyu, Vettel, Albon and Latifi have all got grid penalties then. So qualifying is going to be pretty irrelevant around this venue because, well, no one's going to be starting where they actually qualified here. Red Bull look fast. Hamilton looks to be there right there with Charles Leclerc and Ferrari as well. Even Russell appears to be on the pace. All our eggs are in the Oscar Piastri basket, as that fresh gearbox we put in Lando's car, that was the one that Zhou Guanyu absolutely sent to the shadow round. Right, well, hopefully we're just going to be able to make it through Q1 here in one run. Lando Norris has picked up 8 places worth of grid penalties, which I'm not quite sure how that works, to be completely honest. But yeah, I mean, if we can be close to sort of the times Ocon set there, so Yuki Tsunoda looking much better than he has in recent times as well. I don't know whether this is a good track for Alpine or not, and if it's not, that does do us a massive favour. Oscar Piastri, though, rounding his way through the final couple of corners. Like I said, we're going to have to put a lot of focus on him this weekend, of course, with Lando Norris starting out of position at the final corner up towards the line. Goes quicker than Ocon, about where I expected him to be. Lando Norris hopefully going to be a couple of tenths quicker than that, might get within a second of Charles Leclerc there, but Red Bull fastest in free practice, currently only P3 here in Q1, very, very early on in the weekend, but Lando Norris up over the line, he will go P5, a 10th clear of Oscar there, so clearly Piastri not looking too shabby this weekend. And there we go then, Q1 pretty simple, Lando Norris 8th, Oscar Piastri in 11th, so it definitely seems like a track that suits our car there. Bottas, like I said, of course, with some grid penalties, gives us a bit of breathing room over Alfa Romeo as well, and yeah, with Alonso everyone else's number 1 drivers have got grid penalties just like our own. So this is a big opportunity, you know, the likes of Oscar, the likes of Zhou Guanyu, and of course Esteban Ocon, they've all got a chance to really deliver this weekend, as Max ended up fastest in Q1. We do actually run quite an interesting risk here as we dive into Q2. Lando Norris, of course, will be starting at the rear of the field. Is it worth trying to abandon his laps if Oscar Piastri is going to be right on the cusp, and therefore promote him up into Q3? Or is it worth just letting both drivers go all Hail Mary still, and if Oscar Piastri ends up 11th, he ends up 11th? Well, we'll let them both do their first laps on the scrub set of tyres they used in Q1, but I feel like I'm going to be annoyed if Oscar ends up 11th place here come the end of Q2. That has been a nice, tidy lap. Of course, luckily, once you get into Q2, you know, a lot of the back market cars out of the way. You don't have to deal with as much traffic there as out of the final turn. Oscar Piastri will go fastest of anyone. 1/10 clear of Valtteri Bottas, 1.1 behind Max Verstappen, which is to no real surprise. Lando Norris goes P3, actually behind Oscar Piastri. That makes our decision a little bit easier then, I suppose. Right, here we go then. Final run here in Q2. About to get underway. Oscar Piastri out of the final corner. Crosses over that start-finish line. Then what is this time going to be as he cycles his way down in towards the first corner? He's got Lando Norris a few seconds behind. I think Zhou Guanyu just a couple of seconds up in front there. But Hamilton as well hasn't been able to get a first lap really dialed in there. And George Russell, I hope he's a little bit, you know, that first lap was a bit shaky for him as well. Otherwise, Mercedes are a lot further away once more behind Red Bull and Ferrari there. But first sector looking pretty clean and tidy for Oscar Piastri. We are going to have to monitor the gaps between him and Lando Norris. Unable to improve, though, in Sector 1. Lando Norris does improve, but is still 5 thousandths of a second off his teammate there at the end of the first sector. Oscar Piastri, I mean, both cars now are on identical setups as Alonso bolsters his way up into P6 there. So it looks like we could see both Alpines straight through into Q3. Verstappen improves 27.3 still. 2/10 clear of Carlos Sainz there. Sergio Perez will stay in P3 by the looks of it. Charles Leclerc goes up onto the provisional front row. Of course, it's still only Q2, so for them, doesn't really matter all too much there, as will we see Russell and Hamilton both go down in towards the mid-17s. Carlos Sainz stays in P3. Out of the final corner, though, Oscar Piastri unable to improve at the moment there. Looks like no one else behind us, though, is going to be able to improve, and Oscar Piastri stays in P9. Lando Norris, though, at the final corner up towards the start-finish line, he will improve and go into P8 there. So both of our cars into Q3, unless Sebastian Vettel can pull off a miracle. No, he cannot. We're into Q3. Well, I suppose we may as well put a bit of focus then on our faster driver there. As I was about to say, Alonso has done a worldie of a lap, and then I realised Max Verstappen was actually way off the pace he should be setting there. And 18.1 is not a great banker for the Dutchman. He might have just been held up in a little bit of traffic as his teammate Perez immediately puts 7 tenths on him. Of course, Checo Perez's home Grand Prix, let's not forget, so I'm sure he'll be looking to try and have a good outing here. Of course, pretty much mathematically now, I think, out of the championship. He need both Ferraris and his teammates a no score in the final 3 Grand Prix there. Are we going to get held up by an Alpine? Yes, we are, and that looks to be our first run ruined for Lando Norris then. Come on, this is ridiculous. Which Alpine is that? Is it Ocon? Yes, of course it is. Esteban Ocon just sat in the way, finally jumps out, but I mean, we may as well just abandon that lap. We'll let him keep going just so we've got the data, but that is so ridiculous. That is the thing Frontier need to fix for F1 Manager 23. Oscar Piastri, though, rounding his way through the final couple of turns. Green Sector 1, Green Sector 2, they're actually looking a lot more competitive, so he might still be able to set a good benchmark as we round through the final corner up towards the line. Oscar Piastri will go into 8th place. No, it was not. Still way off, and both of our cars had their first runs destroyed. As Lando Norris out the final corner, will he go P10? No, he'll go quicker than Oscar, so yeah, both of their laps were wrecked. Right, we're going to let both of our cars out right then at the end of Q3 here. We're going to try and make sure that we don't get held up in any traffic on the final runs there. Lando Norris might have to get on with it, but Oscar Piastri crossing the start-finish line with 30 seconds left on the clock. Can we try and at the very least go quicker than Esteban Ocon? Of course, Alonso and Norris will be starting a bit further down the roster. Quite surprised to only see 5 teams making it into Q3, but Charles Leclerc is currently the man that everyone is trying to chase there. Both Mercs got a good run on the board, but Verstappen and Sainz, of course, first and third in the championship. They're way down the roster as well there, as now Sainz even further. His Spanish foe in Fernando Alonso gets ahead of him. I know they're really not foes. In fact, Carlos Sainz kind of fanboys over Fernando Alonso still, but maybe he won't by the end of the real-life 2023 season there. Oscar Piastri finding even more time in Sector 1 there, down onto a low 28. Lando Norris, though, a low 28.9. Lando Norris half-tenth away behind his teammate there at the end of Sector 1. Verstappen goes fastest ahead of Charles Leclerc. Are we going to see the Monegasque driver improve as Perez goes 1,000th of a second clear of Carlos Sainz? Charles Leclerc will stay in P2 then, so it is going to be Red Bull Ferrari, and then both Mercedes at the front of the field there. Ocon has found a lot of time to go, just half a tenth away behind his teammate there as he rounds his way through the final corner, though. Oscar Piastri, will he be able to go quicker than the Frenchman there? Of course, blocked his teammate at the end of the first runs. Yes, he will. P7, 5,000ths of a second clear of Fernando Alonso. Are we going to see Lando Norris able to go any quicker than his teammate? He was half-tenth down in Sector 1. Of course, he's going to take grid penalties anyway. At the final turn, it's going to be mighty tight. He's done it! Just 2,000ths away behind Oscar Piastri, and that is both cars clear of the Alpines. That is fantastic, and a great way to finish off qualifying. And there we go then, having a look at the final results. Max Verstappen fastest there consistently. I mean, look at that. All three of his qualifying laps were separated by just 11,000ths of a second there. Charles Leclerc with penalties won't join him on the front row then. That will be Sergio Perez. But 7th and around I think we'll be a little bit higher than P16. We might be about P13 still with Lando Norris. We have got the best of the rest car this weekend. Let's try and make sure we score the points to prove it.
Tension continues to build here as race day begins.
Qualifying went well for McLaren and they're set to start this race feeling quite comfortable. We saw a reasonable push from Mercedes in qualifying and they'll have plenty of opportunities here to achieve a great result. And the sun is shining bright here today. This is perfect weather for teams and drivers alike to show us what they're capable of.
Well, there's some serious decision-making ahead for teams and the drivers as we begin the Mexican Grand Prix.
Right, well, where are we going to see Lando Norris then starting in this GP? It is P11, so even better than I'd originally anticipated there. But looks like we could see... Oh, it's going to be very, very tricky later on in the afternoon there. So, to be honest, I don't really know what strategy we should go with here. I reckon mediums and then a potential switch over to softs. No, actually, the game reckons we can get to those hard compound tyres. So we'll go like that. And we'll try and extend that first stint as far as possible for Oscar Piastri there. Lando Norris, we might be able to try and take the mediums all the way to the wet period there. It is only meant to be about lap 30, so you know what, we'll gamble it as well with the second car. We'll underfuel them both ever so slightly. Hopefully they can try and get a good start. But yeah, really the goal today is just try and get ahead of those Alpines and stay there right the way through to the bitter end. Oscar Piastri's got a really good opportunity here to re-jump Lando Norris in the Drivers' World Championship as well. Just 2 points between them as we come into this Grand Prix. Let's do it though. It's Mexico GP time.
We have beautiful blue skies overhead as the drivers line up on the grid. And there's McLaren. Not as close to the front as they might have wished for, but we know the race order can change a lot during those first few corners. Norris there, further down the grid. They're starting in the bottom half of the grid today, so there's a lot of cars between them and the podium. And we're just moments away now. What will happen next? We're about to find out at the Mexican Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go.
Well, there we go then. Nice, clean, tidy start by both of our drivers. Oscar Piastri, of course, like I said, he's just got to try and keep Esteban Ocon behind him early on in this race. You know what? We'll immediately put him on the deploy mode as we head down in towards the first corner. I think Ocon has got a pretty good start, though, down around his outside there, as will Lando Norris be able to keep it clean and tidy. 3 wide through the first corner, and oh no, it looks like he's already just getting swamped by the Ferrari car as well there of Charles Leclerc. I mean, we weren't going to be able to keep Leclerc at bay for all too long during this afternoon, but that is a bit frustrating as we head down in towards the next corner. Lando Norris looks like he's stayed in P11, so let's just try and make sure that we keep Yuki Tsunoda at bay in the AlphaTauri car there. But look at Charles Leclerc around the outside as we head through the next couple of corners, so at least if Ocon is ahead of him, which he definitely will be. Hopefully Charles Leclerc is going to be ahead of the Frenchman still as they head side by side in through Sector 2 on this opening lap, and Charles Leclerc trying to recover back to where he should be as early as possible then in this Grand Prix, and it looks like he has just about done so. So Oscar Piastri then down to 8, Lando Norris still in P11 there. In terms of tyre strategy, Oscar the only car starting on the hards. We've got Tsunoda, Stroll and Latifi on the soft, so they're definitely planning on stopping early on this afternoon, but we just got to try and keep it clean and tidy. Of course, we've got to try and get Oscar as far as we possibly can on that set tyres and pray that the rain comes after all those other cars are pitted onto their mediums then. Oh, sorry, off their mediums, but Verstappen leads the way at the end of lap 1. Sergio Perez P2 ahead of Sainz still with both Merckx and Charles Leclerc in hot pursuit. We just need to try and settle down, get into a rhythm here, and try to make sure that we pull away from the cars behind. And it already looks like Ocon has lost the DRS to Charles Leclerc in front of him there, rather unsurprisingly. So you know what, we're going to try and get Oscar Piastri just to push on a little bit over these next couple of laps there. You know, he's got a little bit of breathing room to try and escape from Yuki Tsunoda, but he's lost the DRS off the Frenchman in front of him. Are we going to see Tsunoda try and get a run back down towards him? On, of course, such a long straight in towards the first corner here. Tsunoda to the inside of Oscar Piastri. It might be a pretty simple move for the AlphaTauri car. You know what? He has just about done it, so we'll slot in behind. We'll try and use those soft tyres of Yuki's to carry our car a little bit further up. Magnussen, I think that is still, yeah, sat between Norris and Piastri, but yeah, Yuki Tsunoda then clearly on a push early on, but on a very, very different strategy to our own. Oh, we got a safety car. What's happened then early on in this race? Alex Albon out. Have we seen an incident? Yeah, I'm guessing we've had another pile-up then down at turn 4. You can see he's got one of the Haas cars. That must be Mick Schumacher just behind him. Does Mick lock up? Yes, he does, and Albon is sent to the shadow round. How many crashes have I seen there today? And another one. I don't think it's worth pitting. I think we've just got to try and save tyres, save fuel, everything like that. Might give Tsunoda a bit of a lifeline, however. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see many cars pit. Probably just a bit too early on in the race. Max Verstappen stays out. Sainz, yeah, all the big six staying out. So I don't think there's cause to pit then. Here, are we going to see Yuki in? No, no one's going to pit then early on in this race. Right, safety car in then at the end of lap 8, if I'm not mistaken, in this Grand Prix. Max Verstappen really doesn't want to give it much room, but look at this train of cars behind him as we head out of the final corner. It doesn't do us many favours, of course, does allow all those cars behind us to stay close and gives everyone a chance to cool down their medium compound tyres. But it is green flag racing once again then. Here in Mexico City, we can already see Oscar Piastri trying to look potentially around the outside of Esteban Ocon as we head back down in towards the first corner. But he's also got the Haas of Kevin Magnussen still trying to apply the pressure there. Carlos Sainz between the two Red Bulls as, oh, here goes Oscar thinking about it in towards that first turn. Can't quite make anything happen there. Might still be able to get the run off the first couple of corners, so we're going to try and see if he can get back ahead of the Frenchman just in front of him. I am quite surprised that Tsunoda didn't just cut his losses and peel into the pit lane early on in this race, but clearly feels he can extend those tyres a whole lot further then into the afternoon, or is hoping that every other car has to pit as well. But yeah, really just can't make much forward progress here. It is a lot like the real Mexico GP, apparently. Oh, Oscar Piastri, I think, is holding up Kevin Magnussen and Lando Norris just a little bit here, so it might be worth trying to get the switcheroo done between our two cars. How is the tyre wear looking for those other drivers? Oscar's not doing much better on his hards than they all are on their mediums, to be completely honest with you, so we'll wait and see what happens as we head out of the final corner. I've been trying to use a little bit more of his battery just to see if he can stay close to the cars in front, but it's quite clear that he just cannot match those medium runners early on in this GP. So we're going to go full attack mode then with Lando Norris at the final corner. Are we going to see Kevin Magnussen get the run as well? I'm going to tell Oscar Piastri to not fight his teammate there. So if Kevin Magnussen gets round him, he should let Lando Norris by as well there. He's back down in towards the first corner then. We don't often have to bring driver team orders, into play. But yeah, Magnussen makes it through. Hopefully we're going to see Oscar let Lando by then out of the first couple of turns. Come on, Oscar. Don't do it. There we go. Right now, push on, good sir. Let's keep up with the cars in front. Let's not be vulnerable to that Alfa Romeo behind. But we've just got to try and stay in the tow. It is just not working for Oscar Piastri early on in this Grand Prix of lap 15 there. Alonso now has snuck by him as well. These hard tyres, yeah, were definitely not the right gamble. I gave Yuki Tsunoda stick for not pitting. Perhaps we should have done with Oscar Piastri and bolted on a set of mediums for him. I think Sainz there has taken the lead at the front of the field, side by side with his big championship rival Max Verstappen. Is the Dutchman on soft compound tyres? No, he's not there. Just a hint of red from the not very red Red Bull. But yeah, Sainz now up into the lead then of the Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc still stuck battling it out with those Mercedes a little bit further back. Could we see another crash in towards the next corner? This time round, oh, it gets a little bit scuffly there, as looks like Oscar. See, he has got a bit of fight still in him. Gets back round Fernando Alonso. Oh, Oscar Piastri. That was so close. Down at turn 1 there, he did very, very well to cadence break that and stay out of the Alpine's way. Oh, that was scary. That's definitely not turn 17. But down in towards turn 1 there, down the inside, realised he missed his braking point and hops over the curbing. Would have been nice if he'd just got a mowed over and carried on, but Oscar Piastri losing even more places then. Clearly not confident on these hard tyres there. The team aren't that devastated. He's not out of the race, but we are at 1/3 distance, and he's now only ahead of the back marker. Sainz! What's Sainz done? Down at turn 1, he's round the outside of Max Verstappen there. Does he just run a bit deep? No, he locks up the rears. That, what, 4 races in a row now Carlos Sainz has bottled? That he's really, yeah, if he does win this World Championship, it's going to be one of the least deserved titles of all time. But yeah, Sainz just cannot stop throwing it away. He hasn't lost too much time there, but the Red Bulls have definitely got an advantage as we're starting to see cars pit. How far away are we from the rain? About another 10 laps or so. Come on! Here we go. The rain has started and still Yuki Tsunoda out there on those soft compound tyres. And how quickly is it going to fall? Well, it's not meant to get too bad particularly quickly. Do I gamble with Oscar? We can easily change it again if I need to. But yeah, the rain is starting to fall though here in Mexico. I wonder if it's going to be worth it for Lando Norris as well to peel into the pit lane at the end of this lap. You've got to be on the right tyres at the right time. Do we go for it? I think we've got to go for it. Yeah, the rain is certainly mounting up early on in this GP there. As you can see, it's only lap 28, so it has come out in a little bit earlier than we were originally anticipating. But are we going to see the likes of Stroll? No, Stroll staying out there. Are we going to see Verstappen then peel into the pit lane at the end of this lap? We're still not quite at the 1 mil threshold just yet, but Verstappen's in. Perez, homeboy, stays out there. So the rain is definitely getting here as Sainz is going to peel into the pits as well. So this is all going to be a little bit nip and tuck over the next few laps there. Of course, the rain is meant to get heavier throughout most of the afternoon. We could see a little bit of a drop-off there, but this is going to be very, very tough. As Sainz then heads back out of the pit lane, Charles Leclerc has also stayed out there, so we'll see how their pace fares. We're, of course, going to bring in both of our cars at the end of this lap. Luckily, Piastri a little way behind Lando Norris. We shouldn't lose too much time because of it. But look at that. A lot of cars staying out then in this Grand Prix still. This is a big opportunity to try and gain some places. As Tsunoda, despite the fact he's on a dead set of soft compound tyres there, he's been forced to stay out alongside Esteban Ocon. Like I said, both of our cars peeling into the pit lane then. Lando Norris bolting on that first set of inters, nice and tidy. Hopefully Oscar Piastri will be able to do the same and not lose much time either. 2.5 second stop for Lando is pretty good going, and he's going to re-emerge pretty much. I think he's actually gained a place in all of that, so really good work there by Lando Norris. The team is going to come out just behind Zhou Guanyu. He's got to try and push on though now on those intermediates and try and build up a bit of a gap. And hopefully jump the Alpine and the AlphaTauri as well. And there we go then, after all the pit stop reshuffling has been done, Lando Norris on up into P8 there. Mick Schumacher, for some reason, has gone onto full wet tyres, despite the fact the track is nowhere near wet enough for that. And if I'm not mistaken, it's meant to, it could get a lot wetter very, very quickly, but then it's meant to dry out a bit. But yeah, it is pretty much going to be wet to the end of the Grand Prix. It might be the final few laps we see a bit of a transfer back over onto dries. Let's just settle down into a rhythm then. Lando Norris in P8, Oscar Piastri still sadly down in 14th. Just cannot catch a break. Oh, Lando Norris is locked up. Where's he gone? He's off for a picnic. Why, oh why, oh why? How far back is that going to push Lando Norris? He's not... Why isn't he going? Why is he just sat there? Drive, man. Is the car beached?
Yellow's ahead.
Why isn't he moving?
Now just take a look.
He completely missed his braking point. I get that, of course, difficult conditions. But why doesn't he get on with it? He's just still sat there. Finally gets it going again, and now both of our cars are out of the points. Track condition is changed to wet then, so it's going to be worth bolting on. Actually, I'm not convinced it's worth it. I don't think it's worth coming in onto new tyres there, because it is meant to dry out again pretty quickly. Magnussen into the pits, Yuki Tsunoda into the pits, as well as Pierre Gasly. So AlphaTauri are certainly putting all their eggs in the pit stop basket. This is going to promote Oscar Piastri then back up inside the top 10. But Alpine, of course, our big rivals, they're not opting to pit. So this just does not do us any favours at the moment. Tricky conditions in the Mexico GP. There you can see the rain is getting heavier and heavier still, as Lando Norris will jump back up then into P12. I'm reassured a little bit the fact a lot of other cars aren't pitting, but we need that rain to really start dialing back again. Lando Norris then dropping back down the order, but already that rain's starting to go below the 4 mil threshold. Once more, I don't think a lot of cars towards the front of the field did it, so it is just Magnussen, both those AlphaTauris and Mick Schumacher there. So Haas and AlphaTauri are the only cars that decided to pit, and surely, again, they're going to have to pit again quite soon. This might be a lifeline for us. Yuki Tsunoda back into the pit lane then, onto that set of intermediates. Oscar Piastri all over the back of Kevin Magnussen once again then. So we're going to try and put them on the overtake mode, see if he can have a look around the outside of the Haas car as we head down in towards Sector 2. Should have a peak braking performance there around the outside of the Haas car. Back into the points he'll go then for the young Australian here. And well, it's been a difficult opening half to the Grand Prix, but you can never give up. We've just got to keep getting on with it. There is Lando Norris now behind Sebastian Vettel. He's got to try and find a way through and get back up towards the Haas in front. Right, Magnussen still going backwards then. Sebastian Vettel snuck by him. Are we going to see Lando Norris get the same opportunity? 30 laps to go then in this GP. Verstappen comfortable out in front there ahead of Sainz and Hamilton, who of course has jumped Sergio Perez by virtue of that little bit of crazy pit stop antics. Are we going to see Lando Norris to the inside of Magnussen at turn 1? Still not able to find a way around him there, so we're going to have to try and get the power down out of the first couple of turns. I guess the good thing, of course, is just how well the tyres are staying hooked up together there, as Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris even back through past the Haas car, back into P12 then of this race. He's definitely got the pace to be quicker than Sebastian Vettel as well at the road, so we are going to be just outside the points, but sadly all of our big rivals are in the points. Well, look at this then, lap 47, the rain has suddenly ramped up once more in this Grand Prix, so this was meant to be the other really wet period then in this GP. Again, I'm not convinced it's going to be worth pitting and then pitting back the other way once more. But could we see? There we go, Alonso peeling into the pit lane then. Esteban Ocon has opted to stay out there, so Oscar Piastri, if he can keep it on the island, might be able to gain another couple of spots from all of this. It is so difficult to judge what's going on in this GP, but the rain is pretty much meant to stay around here. And of course, you just lose so much time in the pit stops, of course. You will gain some back, obviously, out on the circuit on the optimum tyres. But at the moment, I think this is, again, a gamble that we need to take here. Lando Norris still stuck behind Sebastian Vettel as we head out the final corner. I've got no idea how he's melting through so much battery throughout the entirety of this afternoon. But he needs to try and get back round in there as Bottas re-emerges from the pit lane. Sebastian Vettel up inside the top 10 very briefly. Now it's just about trying to keep the cars on the island and hoping that that rain once again starts to fall off. 20 laps to go. Valtteri Bottas to the inside of Lando Norris down at turn 1. Oscar Piastri has lost the place to both Alpines once again, but I think at the moment is still just about... Oh, he's skating around a lot. What's he doing? Oh, he's letting Max Verstappen by then. I wondered whether he was having a mechanical failure or something. But, yeah, I mean, the rain is meant to start tapering off once again soon, so surely those Alpine cars are going to have to pit again in this Grand Prix. But look at that Ocon, 55 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. The Big Six are breaking away at a second a lap throughout the entirety of this race, as that Stroll, I thought, was sat there on the mini-map, just clearly struggling. At 53, Bottas has got the jump again on Oscar Piastri, but now, finally, the grip has started to come our way once more there, but I don't think it's really cost Alpine all too much performance in this race. We might still have got the jump on Valtteri Bottas, but of course, yeah, with both of our drivers having such a nightmare this afternoon, it looks like Alpine still are probably locked in to that P7 and P8 then, so they'll score 10 points potentially from this Grand Prix. It might be might be up to us to try and score 2. We might just get 3 out of it, depending on what Lando Norris is able to do. So that is going to really continue to bring the gap down to that Alpine organisation once again in the championship, as Alonso's re-emerged. So he's definitely going to be ahead of Piastri to the end. Will Norris and Vettel get the jump on the Alfa Romeo there? Yes, they will. But Norris needs to desperately find a way around Sebastian Vettel. I cannot believe he's sat behind the Aston Martin for as long as he has this afternoon. Let's try and get on the deploy, get round him, and see if we get a dry period right towards the end of this one. Here we go then. Surely this time round, as Lando Norris drains the battery entirely, he should be able to get a run on Sebastian Vettel as we head back down in towards the first corner there. He's been pushing on that set of tyres as well. He's still actually slightly under on the fuel. How is he not finding a way around the German here? We may as well now just try and conserve for a bit, harvest some battery as well, and then go for an all-out push once more. Right, 10 laps to go. The rain has completely abated then here in Mexico, so the track is only meant to get dry then between now and the end of the Grand Prix. Lando Norris, in a desperate bid to try and save some fuel and battery, has lost a good handful of seconds to Sebastian Vettel up the road. I cannot believe we're potentially in a situation here where the German is going to be able to snooker away what could be quite a critical point for us late on in the championship. But as soon as that rain gets below 1 mil, Lando Norris, I'm absolutely pitting him. We've got nothing to lose with him. I don't know quite what we need to do with Oscar, though. It is going to depend on how quickly that rain stops. But hopefully, yeah, with 3 cars between myself and the German, he's going to fall back in towards our clutches, and then we can finally get the jump on him. Here we go. Track's still getting drier and drier then, so we are going to pit Lando Norris in onto a fresh set, or pretty much fresh set, of the soft compound tyres here with just a handful of laps to go in this GP. No one else yet has made the call. We might be one of the only cars that does so. But I think, you know, I'd rather just be a tiny bit early with him, especially as he still can't seem to find a way around Sebastian here. It might be that he loses a tiny bit of time on this outlap, but the track, yeah, is just meant to dry out right between now and the end of the GP. Certainly no more rain anticipated, so even if he's just absolutely hammering it round, trying to set new fastest laps, you know, it might be a case of we try and get fastest lap bonus point as well. You know, all those little perks and silver linings. But Lando Norris then is going to have a 7-lap sprint to the end of the Mexico Grand Prix to try and make this strategy work. It's a big gamble late on in the day, but at the moment we've got very little to lose then. Oscar Piastri, I don't know whether it's going to be worth boxing him in at the end of this lap. I feel like we might just have to follow the crowd with the Australian. He's got 15 seconds to the cars behind us. There we go. That was pretty much perfectly timed for Lando Norris. I think we're going to have to call Oscar into the pits as well then. At the end of this lap, are we going to see the front runners into the pit lane then? Max Verstappen weaves his way around the final corner. Are we going to see the Dutchman in? No, Max Verstappen stays out then. So this is quite a gamble late on in the day. But the track is getting drier and drier, and we've got 15 seconds to Seb. Oh, luckily for us, Sebastian Vettel into the pit lane as well then. But both those Alpine cars opting to stay out there, so Charles Leclerc's pitted with both Mercedes. Neither Red Bull or his teammate have called into the pit lane then, so we've just got to go for it in these final few laps here and try to get any sort of jump we can. Where is Lando Norris going to re-emerge relative to the likes of Sebastian Vettel and Valtteri Bottas then as we head out of the final corner? Are we potentially going to get Lando back into the points here? Here comes Sebastian Vettel out of the pit lane. It is going to be neck and neck as we head back down towards turn 1 there. Sebastian Vettel's going to try and cut in front of him. Surely Lando's got the speed. No, he just sits behind him. Why? Lando Norris have got to go full out deploy now. He's going to have to try and use a bit of extra fuel as well to make this move work. But yeah, are we going to potentially get a bit closer to the Alpine cars? I mean, if they don't decide to pit for whatever reason, this could be a lifeline for us, but Lando Norris has got to do something. So we head down in towards turn 4. He's still all over the back of the German, but he still cannot find a way around him. There we go, finally. Finally, Lando Norris has done it there, and Oscar Piastri has even claimed new fast lap of the day. Looks like everyone, though, has bolted on a fresh set of soft compound tyres there. So with 5 laps to go then, I think we've pretty much got everything we can out of this race. Yeah, big old gaps to the cars in front there. You can see Oscar Piastri only actually 8 seconds behind Alonso, but certainly not going to be enough unless he gets a miracle in these last couple of laps. Let's just try and bring the cars home. It's going to be 4 points for us against the 10 points for Alpine. Our gap in the championship gets halved, but we just need to get to the flag. Final lap then of the GP for Max Verstappen at the front of the field, but I'm going to try and take back that fastest lap bonus point with Lando Norris here. I'm going to save up some battery. Actually, I may as well try it with Oscar Piastri as well. We need potentially that bonus point there. Charles Leclerc has got it at the moment. I don't know if I can get any data. What is the fastest lap time? That's been set. Charles Leclerc has done a 1:21.4. So that's the time we've got to aim for then as we head out of the final corner. Let's go full attack mode for this final lap then for both Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris then. It's a little bit risky. If they bin it, I'm going to be so furious because both drivers have struggled throughout a lot of this race, but we've got to make sure that we don't end up in the blue flags of Charles Leclerc there as he has a look around the outside of Perez. Those could be critical points in the championship as well, gained for Charles Leclerc as he goes around the outside of the Mexican who might lose a podium in his home Grand Prix. That's Oscar Piastri's chances of fastest lap gone then. What will Lando Norris be able to do a little bit further behind? It looks like it's going to be Verstappen taking a comfortable victory once again here in Mexico. He's often gone well around this circuit. Carlos Sainz, despite the early race mistakes, looks like he will still be able to come through for P2 there ahead of his teammate Charles Leclerc. So Max Verstappen extends his championship lead at the top of the table there. Fantastic effort by the Dutchman against both of those Ferrari cars. Sainz will come through for P2. Lando Norris has got to be so careful with the fuel. Of course, we know just how easy it is to run out here on F1 22. Sorry, F1 Manager even, sorry. I should say there. Get confused with my titles every once in a while. But are we going to see Lando Norris be able to do anything through the final few corners of this Grand Prix? Went green in Sector 1. Oscar Piastri, of course, unable to improve by the looks of it. Yellow even in Sector 2. He's completely drained the battery as we head through the final couple of corners. He just about gets the fuel back into the positive readings as well there. Oscar Piastri P9 come the end of the Grand Prix. Will Lando Norris be able to set fastest lap out of the final corner? No, he will not. It's P9 and P10 here in Mexico. Honestly, quite gutted with that one. We should have been ahead of those Alpine cars, but mistakes for both cars. I think double points we can't be too gutted with either.
It was such a joy to watch McLaren's driver give it their all. McLaren have shown some serious chops here. A good result for the team from Surrey.
Absolutely. I imagine it'll be pats on the back all round, and deservedly so.
And after this result, the team is fourth in the constructor standings.
Coming up in the next round is the Sao Paulo Grand Prix as we head to Brazil. Join us next time at Interlagos.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Mexico GP. Max Verstappen, another race victory there on 1:19.9. We were certainly not going to get close to that lap come the end of the GP. Sainz in P2 ahead of Charles Leclerc there. Perez, I'm sure, gutted to lose out on that home GP podium on the very last lap there. But Hamilton ahead of Russell, Ocon ahead of Alonso, Piastri ahead of Norris there. It was only 5 teams scoring points. And hats off to Sebastian Vettel, rather unlucky there not to walk away with a point for his troubles as well. It does mean Drivers' Championship, though. Suddenly the gap at the top opens up to 20 points for Max Verstappen there, with both Ferrari cars tied on 317 apiece. Alonso rejumps Gasly. We're just falling away behind those cars at the moment. There is now 1 point between Piastri and Lando Norris. And constructors-wise as well, the gap down to 8 points between ourselves and Alpine. It is really not looking good. Sorry, 5 points even, I should say. It is really not looking good at the moment there. Red Bull continue to make gains on Ferrari as well. Can we recover and finish P4 best of the rest come the end of the year? 2 races to go. We'll be back next weekend in Brazil. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Make sure you get yourself subscribed if you're not already. And yeah, we'll be back very, very soon with more Formula 1 content. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.